welcome back to Fit as a Fanny. I'm Jen.
And I'm Sam.
And today we're going to talk to you a little bit more about pregnancy adaptations and exercise and things. Because obviously I'm pregnant, so I've had to adapt things for pregnancy. And we are pre and postnatal specialists, so we're the best people to do it. Do you know what actually I'm finding really... So some of it, so I know I need to do it, but I just find some of it a bit boring.
Yeah.
You know, because it's very controlled, so there's like lots of pelvic tilts, blah 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 blah, whatever. That I can't be arsed doing it. I am doing it, don't worry, I am doing it, I'm making myself do it, I'm incorporating it into my workout, so like I'll do something fun and then I'll do some pelvic tilts and then I'll do, this and so because I know how crucial it is. But, yeah, I'm used to jumping up and down on things.
So pelvic tilts I always add into the mobility section.
Yeah.
I don't do them as a solo exercise. I would always add them in for my pregnancy and postnatal clients.
Yeah.
I would add them into part of their mobility.
Yeah. So I add them in like when I'll do like tricep kickbacks but in like a Superman position.
Okay.
So I add them in there and things like that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
essentially, so T1, we've talked about it before, but trimester 1, I mean, when we talked about it before, I wasn't pregnant. So you're talking about it from, an outsider's perspective. T1, I probably didn't train very much at all. I was very ill. I felt sick all the time. I was exhausted all the time. When I did train, a lot of it was lighter weights, shorter exercises, and a lot of it was...
And probably the more of the reason for that is because technically, realistically, in trimester 1, there's nothing that you need to change.
No.
But probably for you at that point, with the fact that you were really nauseous and you were sick, you weren't taking on enough nutrition, enough calories to have the energy to then do any sort of normal workout. So you do have to, although in T1 there are no adaptations that need to be made because of pregnancy, you need to listen to your body, because if you are tired, if you have thrown up that morning and you haven't managed to eat anything, are you really going to want to then go and like lift some heavy weights? No, maybe
not really.
not.
Not exactly. So in T1, so I would normally train weights 2 to 3 times a week. I normally teach spin twice a week, and I might throw yoga in there somewhere as well. And in T1, I was probably maybe getting 1 weight and 1 spin, if we're being completely honest, just because of how poorly I felt, how tired I felt, how much nutrition I didn't have in me. And they were shorter sessions, they were lighter weights than what I was used to, but I was very, very, very mindful of posture. Because especially as you progress, your posture starts to go a little bit haywire, because your pelvis tilts, so you start to walk your knees out, your upper body, your boobs get bigger, so you round out through your upper body. So very conscious of postural things, and started to add those things in, so things like face pulls, if I'm doing anything sort of like, if I was doing anything on my back in T1, and making sure that my tailbone was tucked right the way under. If I was doing anything seated, making sure that my tailbone was tucked right the way under. And just making sure that you can maintain your breathing. There are some big no-nos during pregnancy, HIIT training being one of them. Because the whole point of HIIT training is to restrict oxygen flow to you, so that you get that what's called the afterburn effect. If you're restricting oxygen flow to you, you're restricting it to baby. Also, HIIT training, your core body temperature can raise by up to 20%.
It's really high.
That's more than a jacuzzi.
Yeah, and if you have ever been in a jacuzzi and you have read the signs, if you go to a spa when you're pregnant, you can't win one.
No, exactly. So what you're cooking your baby, really. So let's not do that.
It's really, really dangerous.
Yeah,
really dangerous. If you raise your core temperature too much, then not only are you warm, but the baby is warm. You are then limiting the oxygen because you can't get it there. You can't cool down quickly. You are causing a lot of harm.
Yeah, exactly. So no HIIT training from the moment you get pregnant, pretty much. Well, exactly that. And then more so the adaptations. So now that I'm back into training now in T2.
What you were saying now that I'm definitely T2.
Well, I am definitely T2. But now that I'm back into training, there is a huge focus, because I have noticed it, like from a postural point of view, my lower back is sore without even realising it.
And that is one thing that people don't tend to make the connection of, is that yes, women that are pregnant get back soreness, and everyone's like, well, I'm just pregnant, so it just is, it's a symptom of. No, the back pain is actually a symptom of poor posture.
Yeah.
Now, your poor posture is a symptom of the pregnancy, but it doesn't have to be, because you can alter your posture.
Yeah, 100%.
Which will then eliminate and decrease back pain.
Exactly. So I have definitely been doing a hell of a lot more of that, which has involved, pelvic tilts, cat-cows, Superman positions. I've been doing a lot of bear crawl, knee lifts, maintaining glute bridges, scooping up off the floor, and to make sure that I do them, I have been incorporating them as like rest in my, so like if I'm doing, squats, for example, I might then get on the floor afterwards and do a couple of glute bridges as part of like my rest. I'd take rest after that, obviously, but just to sort of like ease it down. Or if I'm doing sort of like seated shoulder press or some chest press or whatever, I might then do some bear crawl knee lifts or whatever, maintaining that nice flat back, so that it's incorporated into the workout as a whole rather than just something to do in isolation. But there's been a real strong focus on tucking the tailbone under and squeezing the shoulder blades together. So like I said, the face pulls and things like that. And then the other thing is balance.
Massively starts to go out of whack at T2.
Yeah.
Your centre of gravity shifts because of the growing bump.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have got a bump now, a little one.
And then also because there is a really clever hormone that is only released when you're pregnant, called relaxin, and because then that goes, and it's really to help your ligaments to become a little bit more flexible for childbirth.
For the expelling of the child.
But it's not clever enough just to localise to the area, so it surges through the whole body. So that means then that all of your ligaments, your tendons, start to become a little bit more flexible. So they're not strong enough to stop your pelvis from shifting, which is why we should weight train, because the muscles are going to keep your posture where it needs to be, because your ligaments aren't going to do that job.
Yeah. It helps to keep it all supported. Yes. So I have been adding in a lot of balance work, which, same again, really simple and easy ways to do it. I've been doing a lunge and then just adding in a knee lift.
Yeah.
Like existing things that you'd already do, or one of my new ones that I'm really liking is like seated pistol squats.
Yeah, so a seated chair squat.
Yeah.
I really love it.
On a single leg.
Single leg squat.
Exactly, just to help, with the posture element, to help with the balance element, because I do notice, so obviously I trained whilst I was away in Parma, then I've been poorly for a week, and in that week off, I noticed massively the lower back pain start to creep back in again, because your posture is changing, you are tilting a lot, and if you don't keep working on it and tucking it all under, it's only going to get worse, and unfortunately, if you don't do anything about it, it is going to get worse. And then a lot of what happens is, from a postnatal point of view, a lot of people think it just goes back to normal.
Oh, no.
You've been like in this position with all of these hormones, with all these tilts, with all these postural imbalances for 9 months. Nothing is going to go back just like that.
No, I think about that as like, if you have a crumbled up piece of paper and you want to try and flatten it, and you put like a heavy book over the top of it, if you leave it there for long enough, okay, some of those creases are still going to be there, but you take it off and it's completely flat. It doesn't go back to that crumpled mess.
No, exactly.
So it's you have to keep working.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to do, because obviously for me and my job, everything is very active. I can't afford to not feel fit, healthy, well, strong, to then be able to teach my classes, not only now and as I progress, but from a postnatal perspective as well.
Yeah.
So it's making the whole pregnancy a little bit easier. Yes, okay, you've got to put some effort into it to actually get it done, but it makes the whole pregnancy a lot easier.
Yeah.
And then also from like a labour point of view, if you're stronger, if you are, you know, we know that research shows that if you are weight training physically, it helps to make you mentally a little bit more resilient. So actually from a mental aspect of going through labour, you're going to be a lot better prepared. But also from a stamina point of view,
I was going to say there are some cardiovascular benefits from weight training.
Yeah, exactly.
You are having to use your lungs and your lung capacity and stamina, so muscular endurance as well as cardiovascular endurance are all going to be very beneficial.
Very beneficial,
in that
you know.
pushing process.
Great. Yeah, that's really nice to think
And
about.
that is making me feel good.
It makes my vagina cringe a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. So it does massively help from that point of view. Also, research shows that if you exercise during pregnancy, your baby is less likely to have weight issues as they get older.
Yeah.
Which, you know, in today's society is always more beneficial. Absolutely. But it's making those adaptations. So I don't, if you follow me on Instagram as well, I did like a post about it the other day, but it was literally what I've not been doing. So I've not been doing HIIT training because, as we've discussed, not good for you. You are a cooking baby. Not been doing concentric contractions, so crunches, because essentially your abdominals start to separate. You get what's called an aponeurosis sheath. And I just really like saying it. It's just like a bit.
She likes to say it because she sounds clever.
I mean, I am clever, but it's just like a strip that goes down the centre of your abdomen, that's a bit elasticy, so it helps your abdominal muscles to separate, to allow space for baby. If you are then doing some crunches, your abdominals are not contracting in the way that they should because there's a big ligament.
They're not in the position that they were before, so
yeah, they're not where they're supposed to be able to contract how they should. So no crunches. Also, as you get further along, you know, there's not really much room to go.
No, that's also true.
There's not really much room to go. Now that I am past the 16-week point, I'm not doing anything flat on my back anymore. So if I'm doing chest presses, I'm elevated. If I'm doing glute bridges, I'm doing it with my back, you know, on a bench or on a Swiss ball or something like that. And that's more of a risk to mum than baby so much, because you've just got very big blood vessels that run down underneath baby, and then the weight of baby presses down and you're more likely to get dizzy, you're more likely to restrict oxygen to you, which then could restrict it to baby. But it's also, if you get dizzy and you fall over and you fall on bump, then that's where the issues are going to lie. Limiting twists. So we had a big discussion about this before when I walked in, because a lot of twists, obviously we twist in normal day-to-day life, so you need to be doing twists, but during pregnancy, uncontrolled weighted twists, there's a very small risk that the placenta will come away from the
and it is
uterine
that
wall.
word, uncontrolled, and unfortunately for most of the population, we don't know how to, well, I know how to, but they don't know how to control that twist.
Because to control a twist, you need to engage your pelvic floor, which a lot of people
don't even know they have a pelvic floor.
Exactly. A lot of people say, and you go, are you doing your pelvic floors? Don't know if I'm doing them.
I don't know what is my pelvic floor?
What is that?
Okay, and how do I do it? I literally had this discussion with a woman at my Walking Talking Mums class on Monday, 4 months postnatal.
Oh God.
And she came and did the class and stuff, and I was like, what were we talking about? She was like, I've got loads of issues like going on down there. I was okay, so well, what we're gonna do initially is we're gonna look at breathing and engaging the pelvic floor. She was like, and I said, and pelvic tilts and stuff, and she said, right, okay. She said, I don't think I ever really understood how to engage my pelvic floor like during pregnancy. She's like, I never really got it. I was like, okay. I said, right. I said, so let's start from the beginning. So place your hand on your belly, and your hand on your rib cage. Let's just get a feel for breathing first of all. And as soon as I said, right, breathe in, I went, okay, lower the shoulders. So now we're going to breathe into the belly. So I want you to breathe in, I want everything to expand. Now I want you to breathe out and let your belly get smaller and your rib cage contract in. So we did this a few times, and I said, right, now you're going to, there are 2 ways in which we can think about this. The not so lovely imagery is just try and close all 3 holes up.
Yes.
Right, as you breathe out, okay?
Yeah.
Which is what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
You're trying to close. And she was like, all 3 holes underneath here. But I don't know where any of
I don't know where any of the other holes
but
are.
okay,
Those
yes,
are.
those 3.
Yes.
They're the ones that we are looking to try and lift up, essentially. Not close up, but lift up. We want to be thinking about lifting. We don't want to close, because then all that happens is people just tense the bums. And tense the tummies and can't breathe. So we're lifting. So I said, sucking up through a straw.
Yeah.
Is another one. My better one, though, this is my favourite analogy, is that you are in a lift on the ground floor.
Oh.
And when you breathe in, you want that lift to go down to the basement. So your perineum, should lower.
I'm genuinely doing this
because
now.
you're breathing in, you're letting everything relax, fully relax.
I'm chilled.
And then what you want is that lift to slowly make its way up to floor 8. So then you start to suck up through that straw, lift that elevator up with your pelvic floor all the way up to level 8 while you're breathing out, and then it goes back down to the basement as you breathe in.
Oh, I like that a lot.
Yeah, that's my favourite one.
I'm using that one.
So but she was like, I just never really got it while I was pregnant.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, then this makes a lot of sense for why we've got quite a few issues, because if you don't know how to control and relax, so relax and engage, you need to be able to do both really well.
Yeah.
It's not just about engaging,
Yeah.
you have to be able to relax as well, because there is such a thing as a too tight pelvic floor.
Yeah.
I probably would struggle with that.
Well, yeah, exactly.
As we've spoken about before.
We've spoken about before.
So you have to be able to do both really well to have good pelvic health, essentially.
Absolutely.
And being able to incorporate your breathing into it. So, but people don't even know that they have a pelvic floor.
No.
Like, men have a pelvic floor.
Absolutely.
It's not just women.
No. And it is, you imagine building a house. Your pelvic floor is the foundation. That is what your core sits on. So you've got your pelvic floor at the bottom, you've got your obliques around the side, you've got your transversus abdominis at the front, you've got your back muscles at the back, and then you've got your diaphragm at the top. So it forms almost like a
Coke can.
A Coke can, yeah? But if any of those points are a bit dented, or a bit broken, or weak, it's going to crumble. Now, the same applies with that pelvic floor. If that is not there, everything is just going to fall out the bottom. So it is absolutely crucial that whenever you're doing anything, weight training, especially as we progress through pregnancy, that you know how to engage your pelvic floor, you know how to engage your core, you know where your pelvis should sit.
Because also pelvic floor and core come as a combination. It's no good just being able to do your kegels. Your kegels. No point in just being able to do your kegels if you can't actually engage your core correctly as well at the same time.
Exactly.
That's a waste of absolute time.
Yeah.
Yes, you need to know how to do kegels or pelvic floor engagement, but it needs to incorporate with everything else.
Yeah. So this is why when we talk about twists, uncontrolled twists.
And that's a problem.
You think
is a problem.
a Russian twist, for example. So Russian twist, typically you are leaning back, your knees are lifted up off the floor, your feet are lifted up off the floor, and you're twisting and rotating. Now most people do this by just throwing the body weight side to side. Let's be honest.
Nobody thinks about the
pelvic floor. No one thinks about drawing their abdomen in. They're just thinking, obliques. Right, okay, fine. So let's twist as much as we can. If you are doing that during pregnancy, when your abdominal muscles are already in the wrong place.
So we're weak. So if you think that Coke can, they've already started to separate, right? So there's already a gap in the front of that Coke can. They're already weak. We're already in a weak position.
So if you're then throwing a weight side to side, you are severely putting yourself at risk of something happening within that uterine wall there and then, but also from a postnatal point of view, having some serious issues because your pelvis isn't supported, your core isn't supported, everything's gotten weaker, and you're not actually doing anything to help control that, to help train that. So that's why we say uncontrolled twist. There are a lot of things, especially the cable machines, love a cable machine, because you can do it very slow, very controlled, you can ground your feet, you can tuck your tailbone under, it's very stable.
There's also that other thing of speed. So when people are in the gym, they tend to want to rush, not necessarily rush through things, but do things at such a speed because they get sweat on, right?
Yeah.
Now, sweat, it's just your body's way of cooling yourself down.
It's not fat frying. It's not fat frying.
It literally means nothing other than the fact that it is cooling your body down, right? But people want to get that sweat on, and so don't slow things down because when they're slow, you're not sweating as much.
No.
So you are working
Yeah.
just as hard, but you're not sweating as much, so people don't think they're doing as much. But actually, slow and stable.
Yeah.
Much better because you've got better control.
Much better control. You can maintain your breathing, you can maintain that muscle capacity, especially during pregnancy.
Absolutely.
It is absolutely crucial. Your postural changes are insane. Your bodily changes are insane. So we want to try and keep as much of you stable as we possibly can whilst we work on, you know, I don't want to say correcting because it's, you know, the postural changes are happening, but sort of like prehabbing those postural changes so that you don't get as much lower back pain,
Absolutely.
so that you don't struggle as much, you know, afterwards with or later on needing to pee as much or peeing yourself or peeing when you're laughing, you know, various things like that.
And even things like if you've got back pain through your pregnancy, you aren't doing anything about that, you then go into your postnatally, it hasn't just fixed itself, but now you've got a baby that you've got to pick up.
Exactly.
That you've got to change. That
Exactly.
you've got to feed.
Exactly.
Sat in not very well supporting sofas or chairs, right? So at which point does that get addressed then?
Exactly. And that's why, so T2, a lot of the focus for me has been, you know, posture, balance, engaging things, getting the core aspect right. Then when it comes to sort of T3, there will be a lot of preparation for me. One, with breathing. You know, labour preparation, but a lot of breathing techniques, being able to, you know, calm yourself down, engage your core in different ways with that extra, you know, I'm going to be wider than I am tall. Let's be serious when this actually happens.
It's not really hard, is it?
I know it's not really, but still. And also preparation for baby being here. So because you can do a lot of body weight stuff because you've got a big bump, like a lot of, you know, good mornings with your body weight, because you are going to have a strong lower back to be able to pick baby up off the floor. You know, some lightweight shoulder presses because you're lifting baby up and down.
And also like just like car seats in and out of the car.
Exactly.
Things like that.
Things like that. So it's almost like T1. Okay, you find out you're pregnant. If you are, you know, sick, then you just try and get through it. But you maintain as much of your fitness as you can. T2, we then start to focus on the postural changes, the imbalances, so that we can start to correct those. And then as we go into T3, we continue that, but we start to incorporate preparation for labour and preparation for baby. And that's what I'll be doing. And definitely over the past, you know, few weeks, it's quite interesting actually. I know it says some of the moves are actually really boring. They're not. It's just a very different way of training, and I'm actually finding it quite interesting doing that different method of training and noticing how my body feels when I'm doing it, because I'll go to demonstrate something in class that like imagine a cat-cow, for example. Normally I'd demonstrate a cat-cow and drop my belly button quite low, whereas now I can't do that because it's stretching too much, or I can't do an up dog anymore, you know, because of the stretching. So there's a lot of things that I'm noticing that I can't do, so I'm not going to force myself to do them, you know. And that's why, like, you know, we know exactly what we're talking about, and I'm listening to us and implementing it. But if you are attending a gym or classes or anything like that, and it doesn't feel right, either ask the instructor, and if they don't know, if they're not pre and postnatal trained, or if they're unsure, if they're a good instructor, they'll turn around to you saying, "Really sorry, I don't really know, but I'll try and find out for you." Or have you, you know, looked online or whatever? A lot of them send them to me. Have a little look at what pre and postnatal people are saying, because it may be something that actually you shouldn't really be doing.
No. If you are pregnant and you are postnatal, pregnant trimester 2 onwards and postnatal, and you go to a class and you are given no modifications for any exercise,
run,
get out.
leave,
Get out. That
Just,
class is not for you.
yeah.
And that is not saying that the instructor is a bad instructor. The instructor is just uneducated in pre and postnatal.
Yeah.
If they have not given you, if you are going to a Gen Pop class and you are not given any modifications at trimester 2 and your postnatal period, like that postnatal stage, that class isn't for you.
No,
categorically not for you. You don't even need to ask if they're pre and postnatal specialists.
No.
If they know you are pregnant and you are in your postnatal stage, they should have given you some sort of modification.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even just one modification.
Yeah.
There should be a modification at some point in that class.
Especially a lot of classes, you are lay on your back. You know, you go to a body pump class, you lay on your back for chest presses. You go to a yoga class and you lay on your back at some point. You know, you go to many classes and you'll lay on your back at some point. If you are through T2, if you're past 16 weeks and a modification is not given for that, straight away, red flag. And we've said it before, you wouldn't, you know, if you have broken electrics at home, you hire an electrician.
Absolutely.
If if your tap goes, if your water goes, you hire a plumber. Like, if your car goes, you hire a mechanic. You don't just take it to whoever. You don't take your car to an electrician and go, oh, you know, my wheel needs fixing.
Yeah.
You go to someone who's a specialist in it. And when it comes to pregnancy, I think and I don't know whether it's just because 50% of the population, or thereabouts, 50% of the population go through it, so it's sort of just like, meh, everyone does it, let's just roll with it. But your body goes through a huge change. You need to look after yourself. You need to look after baby, not just for pregnancy, but for everything afterwards as well.
100%.
We've said it so many times. I've had clients come to me who their kids are 16 and they're still struggling with the effects of postnatal and pregnancy.
And it's because they were told, oh yeah, that's just normal.
It's just normal.
Oh no, it's not normal, it's common. It's not normal, but it's common.
Exactly. So lower back pain, common, not normal, can be fixed just by doing the correct postural work, core work, you know, various things like that. Someone will come with PG. That's the other thing, pelvic girdle pain.
Yeah.
A lot of people come, oh, I've got really bad pelvic girdle pain, and they don't want to then do anything. There's loads of options you can
still do.
There's loads of stuff you can still do that's actually going to help the situation.
100%.
So it shouldn't mean that you just go categorically no. There's loads of things that we can still do. And it's the same with, like, you know, sciatica. I always find a big one that creeps up years down the line. And it's always down one side because that's the side that they held baby on when they were kids, and that's the side that, you know, that got weaker or got stronger or whatever, and now it's pulling, and now you're getting lower back pain, and now you're getting sciatica, and now you're wondering, and it's actually because, you know, when you had a kid 6-7 years ago, you didn't do any postnatal recovery, you didn't do any pregnancy prehab, so of course it's going to happen. If you broke your leg, you would get prehab and rehab. And it's the same thing, your body goes through huge change, so we need to be doing things about it to help with that. And the focus of my training has definitely changed. Like, when I'm doing things now, especially I'm almost looking at it like, okay, well, this is helping with my, you know, holding the boobs, or this is helping to make sure that I don't get lower back pain, or, you know, if I'm doing shoulder presses or whatever, this is going to help me strengthen my shoulders for lifting baby. And it's changing that focus, that mindset. You've said it before. One of your clients came to you and said, well, what's my goal now that I'm pregnant? Like, you know, and actually it's just
to maintain some health and fitness and postural stability, essentially. Like, postural stability. Your boobs are going to grow like Pamela Anderson size.
Oh my god, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
And they are going to create this. And the only thing that holds your boobs up is the skin.
Yeah.
That's it. There's nothing else to hold your boobs up. There's no muscle that holds your boobs up.
The
muscle is underneath them. It doesn't lift them, like, at all. It's the skin that keeps that breast tissue where it is. So this happens. So we have to work on,
and that's
there's so much that you can do in pregnancy. Your goals might be slightly different, but for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. The focus for me has definitely shifted. And actually, now that that's shifted, when I am doing the exercises, I can see the benefit because I know exactly what it's doing to me now. I know it's how it's going to help me throughout my pregnancy, and I know how it's going to help me postnatally as well. So guys, please, 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 if you are pregnant, if you are postnatal, and you need some advice, you need some help, please give us a shout.
Oh yeah,
more than happy to give some advice, more than happy to help you out. If you're struggling, no matter how old your kids are, whether they're 6 months, 6 weeks, 6 years, 16, but you're struggling with, you know, peeing or hips or backs or knees, it is more than likely pregnancy related. There is a lot we can do about it. And actually, guys, so little big announcement. So I know what I'm having.
Yeah.
I know what I'm having. I'm having a little baby boy.
Yes.
So there's going to be a little baby boy in March time. So yeah, please send all the luck because I'm going to be so outnumbered.
Oh, you are?
I'm going to be so outnumbered between the dogs and Andy and the baby. And yeah, we got measured and the baby is measuring normal for everything except its legs.
Of course.
They're long because my darling other half is tall. So at the age of 5, I'm going to be yelling at this boy by pointing upwards. But yeah, it's a he, guys. So those of you who guessed correctly, well done. Those of you who didn't, I mean, it was a 50-50 shot anyway.
True.
So yeah, guys, we'll see you next time.
See you later.
Bye. Oh, sorted.